Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen up, the markets are going crazy. Listen, overall, the markets are going to be very, very volatile for the next few months, okay? It doesn't matter if money is coming in or out. Nowadays, super, super big moves happen in all types of markets, in the crypto, in the stocks, in the indices, in the metals, everything. I could literally show you, and I will show you just for the next 30 seconds what I'm talking about. Something like Turbo, right? A wonderful meme coin that I cover consistently on this channel. Pumped today. Today it pumped 43%, even at one point almost up, 50%. Bitcoin has gone up a couple of thousands of dollars, right? In the last 2 days, this thing has gone up, a good amount, $6,500. Something like gold has been going crazy the last few days. Gold was almost at 3,500 literally just a couple of hours ago, and it is already down $117 within what? Take it from this time frame to here, it is down in 12 hours. It moved 120 bucks, more or less. Crazy times, people. I've never seen anything like this. I've been in the markets for years now. All right. Gold is moving crazy. Stocks are moving crazy. One day stocks 5 trillion get wiped out. Next day 10 trillion get added. Bitcoin is down a couple of thousand one day. A week later, it's up 10,000. I mean, you have all these coins that we cover on this channel, which we will go into a little bit more detail in just a second. They were just at what? A couple hours ago, they were just something like this. Iridium was at $2.10. Now it's already at $2.50. In a couple hours, in a couple days, it's probably gonna be at $3, $3.50. And it just like, it's crazy, right? In the beginning of April, first week of April, the end of the first week of April, if you bought Radium, right, you would have already been up 80% in like 2 weeks. Crazy, crazy times. And I mean, nothing is going to slow down. The world is just going to go crazier. The volatility is just going to go crazier. And yeah, right now we are in recovery stage for, Bitcoin, altcoins, and even stocks and stuff. But if we're talking about just purely about, let's say, crypto, because we cover crypto on this channel, look, we are in recovery stage. We're going to be in recovery, and we are going to be pumping over the next few months. Look, I talked about this before, but I'll say it again, that I believe genuinely that January, February, March was the pullback candle, right? It was the pullback candle. I believe in the beginning of April, we were going to get a little bit of some kind of sweep, which we could see, right? We swept the 3-month candle, we swept the monthly candle, we swept the weekly, the daily, right? We swept all this liquidity, and after that, we got a huge shift. We went up a couple thousand, and after that, right, we went into this order block. Boom, we closed well. The next day, we shot up, consolidated for roughly a week, right? Consolidated roughly a week, and now we are shooting up, and we are looking to reclaim serious territory. Look, people, this is the biggest, most crucial territory because look, there is literally weeks and weeks worth of data. We can see all the wicks, right? At 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 11, maybe 12. We have roughly 11 to 13 weeks, right? Debating, how, much you want to count some of them. Months of resistance, months of support building up in that area. And once we reclaim this, I mean, the next levels are pretty much going to be coming back to all-time high. And after all-time high, we're going to be hitting new highs. We are going to be expanding like we have never seen before. And it is really, really exciting. Okay. So look, with the way crypto and Bitcoin is moving now, I really, really doubt we are going to go into this weekly candle right over here, right? We were looking at this before, and, I was considering it before we had this big pump. Now, obviously, guys, look, the week hasn't ended, but I really, really doubt that we are going to have very big red candles. And if we do, we probably will just go back down to somewhere in the 80s, high 80s. Okay. I don't see us going back down to the low 80s unless we do end up in a range. If for some reason we do end up in a range, let's say we can't break past this huge, support over here at roughly 91, 92K, then there's a world where we might just be kind of ranging for a couple of weeks before we break out. But with how fast the markets move, with how much good news there's surrounding crypto, I really, really doubt that we are going to be there, especially that I do believe that we will be looking to recover everything by the end of June, and if not even push further out, right? If we go on the 3 month candle, we can see that, it's looking good, right? I did say last time, I don't think we're going to have a case where we're going to be just consolidating for another 7 months. Like when we were in this zone over here, we were consolidating for roughly 7.5 months before we broke out. But the thing is, this had a different purpose, right? This was looking to pretty much create a support on top of the previous highs and then burst out. Now we don't really need to do that, right? We filled some imbalance. We pretty much almost tapped in at the highs, and now we are looking to push forward. In the future, in a future cycle, let's just say, hypothetically, there's going to be some kind of top at, let's just say, 130K. Then in a future cycle where things go back down, whatever, they do what they have to do and they come back here, then we're probably gonna get the same thing where we consolidate for a very long time before we shoot up. But the context right now is just different, right? It is not that. So we don't need to take 6, 7, 8 months to go sideways to confirm, right? We just went back down. We crashed in the beginning of March. We consolidated, right? We were up and down. And by the end of April, we can see we're already recovering. So I believe May and June will pretty much be very, very positive for us. I would not be surprised if we start breaking out by late May or even sometime in June. And then July, August, September is what I expect for Bitcoin to kind of just continue to dominate, right? I am not sure 100% how high we will go. I do not think we'll hit 200K this cycle. The highest I could see us hitting is probably 160 to 170K, but that's with a double top with some kind of, what we had similar to last time around, right? Where we kind of went back down, we crashed a lot, and then we go back up. But then you can even see then, right? We didn't really go much higher. We peaked at what, 65K roughly, and then we went up to 68, 69K, and then we sold off. So I really don't think that's going to be the case. I do think we still have another 20, 30K above these highs, which we could go upwards of 140K, which is what I'm looking for, right? The 130K to 140K range is probably going to be my main type of range. And once we see things, consolidate for some time and break structure, sometime during this era, right, somewhere in this sideways movement and even coming back down, it's probably when altcoins will start pumping super, super heavy. And that is when we are going to profit very nicely. We can see that, although, Bitcoin has gone up and certain coins have gone up a drastic amount, like Turbo 39%, Radium, Pangolin 15%, or sorry, 12%, some other coins between like 4 to 8%. Bitcoin dominance still continues. We know that pretty much here is the main area we're looking for a Bitcoin, dominance to crash. It could even hypothetically, depending how much money there is and, just how strong Bitcoin is, we could even go upwards of 74%, right? We could just do some type of sweep above these highs, right? Climb, 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 sweep, peak, and then have a crash, right? When we peak, we probably will have some kind of crash either within the same day, like a couple hours later, a couple days later, or by the end of the week, it's going to look already like it dropped a good amount. And that's going to be the indicator, right? That's going to be an indicator, or we might get a similar candle, like a doji candle, where, reversals are going to be intact. Either way, right? We don't need to literally perfect this 100%, right? Obviously, if it actually goes higher, it actually would be better for us because that means the higher it goes, the harder the crash, the more gains you get, right? Sure, you might have to wait a little bit more, but patience is a virtue. People remember that, very, very important. So look, right? Altcoins in general, we can see are pumping, right? I have very, very detailed notes that I, do on my chart and even in the Discord. So highly recommend joining the Discord, especially if you also want a portfolio review and to be updated on everything. So look, I did talk about, right here for Ondo, for example, although there are many rejections on the weekly time frame, I believe due to the context added and the shift in momentum we have, I believe we will be breaking out of the zone, heading upwards of $1.20 in the very near future. Excited to see how this plays out. So yeah, we can see on the weekly there were multiple rejections, but because of this big green candle and this crappy sell candle last week, I did believe that we are going to be bursting up. And I do actually believe, right, especially if we continue going up decently, that Ondo will start coming back into these zones of roughly, $1, 120 right? Somewhere between this range much sooner than later. Okay, much sooner than later. And I am super stoked and excited for this. If you guys don't remember, I called out, Ondo purchases roughly at, the low 90s, right? The low 90s. And I also did buy some more somewhere in the mid 70s and low 80s. So look, fantastic. I'm really super stoked, right? We also did literally talk about this institutional candle right here, how these are probably going to be the bottoms. And I mean, literally, that is exactly what happened. So, no coincidences, no nothing. We also do know global liquidity will also be, has been on the rise, and we know crypto is delayed and it should be hitting these markets even harder over the next few short weeks. So, listen, people, right? Listen. You've had very premium discounts. You have very big premium discounts, but you're still buying coins for cheap if you look at the prices objectively. Of course, something like H bar is already way more expensive than it was, all the way down here or even here, right? Between, let's just say, 4 to 7 cents. Now you're buying at 17, but it's still going to be cheaper than when H bar, for example, hits upwards of $1, 20, or even higher, right? So look, fantastic times. I do believe, you should be, getting in those purchases. Of course, if you want something specific, or you want me to cover something specific, then make sure to join the community. If you want a portfolio, make sure to join the community. And yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.